And welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to our monthly get-together, Your Retirement with Insurance 365 with Angela Cradaville. As you look at your radio, she's the one right in the middle. Hi, Angela.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
And then there's Jay Kenobi. He's the ugly one on one side of Angela, and I'm the ugly guy on the other side. So it's just kind of like bookends, right, Jay?
We're holding up our part.
All right, so we like to talk about your retirement. You don't have to be 65 years of age or even approaching 65 years of age in the next year or two to enjoy this. Let's say you're 50 or 55, and now is the time to maybe start getting some things in order. Jay, we've talked about this before, just to do a quick review about how important those last 10 years are before you retire.
Just crucial to be able to communicate and plan. Those are the two things. Communicate with your loved ones, communicate with someone who can help you plan and put it into place.
Oh, man. Communication with the folks left behind. I mean, how many times do you fix a mess like that?
Oh, family dynamics.
Yeah.
They're interesting, Jeffrey.
Grandma's gone and there's the cardboard box. Figure it out.
Yep. Or a sister's gone or a brother, and didn't we get anything, and what was there, and did this person get that, and why?
Yeah.
You have to be able to sit down and communicate while you are able to be here to communicate.
Insurance 365, they are easy to find. They're on South 13th Street. And, Jay, the sign is almost bigger than your building, I understand.
We're trying. We are trying.
I love that. When you drive by there, if you miss it, as we always say, you're not paying attention. You can call them up on the old-fashioned thing that's called a telephone. And they actually answer it, right?
Yep, we do.
402-371-3136, 3136, and they're online, insuranceagency365.com. So Angela is the quiet one over there. She likes to be quiet, but she might be quiet, Jay, but she is a woman of action, isn't she?
Absolutely. Clients love her.
So we're going to narrow this down. Today we're going to talk about health and wealth. And when it comes to health, we're going to talk to Angela. When it comes to wealth, we're going to talk to Jay. So, Angela, you're front and center here. Let's start with health, maybe in the first segment of the program today. There are 7 components here.
There are. So when a person retires or turns 65, you are going to lose your health insurance. So we have to look into, what do you want? Do you want a Medicare supplement, or do you want to do a Medicare Advantage? You know, I'm here to explain what the differences are so you understand what you're buying. Then also, there's a drug card. You need to get dental, vision, and hearing. Do you need them all? Do you want them all? Do you want to keep them?
Right, yeah. Absolutely. You know, and we've talked about this, too, in past shows, you guys, about how that's a huge factor when it comes to retirement, that step that you have to take care of your health care, because a lot of folks have it through their employer, and I'm like, I'm going to lose this. What do I do?
Right. The HR department took care of it, so we're here to help them.
So can you give me some factors here? And she hates it when I ask questions that she didn't know I was going to ask. But when you break down these 7 components, is there a checklist that people can go through that might be able to guide them to decide, what they need, what they don't need necessarily?
Absolutely. When I sit down with a client, I make sure we explain every benefit that each policy can bring and decide, is it valuable to that person to keep or not have?
Right. And it would depend on their individual situation as well.
Everybody's different.
Okay. So walk me through the process. I'm just about to turn 65. I'm going to retire maybe in 2021. This is the year. That's my New Year's resolution. Right. I'm stepping away. How soon should I come in and talk to you about this?
Yeah, I always suggest maybe a couple months before. If you're have been on group health, say you're 67, been on group health insurance, you don't have your Medicare A and B. Well, guess what? Step 1 is to get our Medicare A and B going before you retire.
Okay, what's Medicare A and B? I'm the dumb guy, so I'm going to ask the dumb questions
Medicare
here.
A and B is the government program that you need. That's the building block in order to get your Medicare supplement.
The foundation. You got to lay the foundation first.
That's what we need to get first.
And then build from there.
Absolutely.
Can I come in anytime during the year? Because I hear so much about this this open season. Do I have to wait until that?
You do not.
Because it doesn't happen until toward the end of the year.
That does. Yeah, that's correct. When you are coming off a group health insurance or turning 65, your time is that time. So there is no open, you don't have to wait for the open enrollment. So you can do it at any time you're turning 65 or coming off a group health. Then going forward, once you're on Medicare, then we have to abide by that time frame, that October 15th.
We talked about guidelines. Maybe one of the guidelines might be what you previously had through your employer. What did you like? What didn't you like?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Is this going to affect cost?
If you add dental and vision,
Depending on what- yeah,
yeah,
what you have.
absolutely.
I mean,
What
that's it.
package we choose, you want to go with? Absolutely.
That would seem like an obvious question, but when you're dealing with the government, you never know because their numbers are always a little funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and people always think all of this is part of the government plan. People
Okay.
think hearing and dental and vision and nursing home coverage. Mm-hmm. Well, isn't that Medicare? I mean, I had that yesterday. A lady called and said that. Wasn't my husband in the nursing home just covered by Medicare?
Ouch.
Well, people don't. That's why you have to get in there and learn this process and learn the rules.
And walk through those things. That's another thing that we've talked about before. That Angela, how many times have you come across people? You look at their situation and what they have. People who have been retired for years, and they find out, holy cow, I've been paying $2-3 grand a year more than I need to.
Absolutely. It happens all the time. That's why it's just important to always look at this stuff.
Do that review, even if you're already retired and you're already set up with these things and some of these things that you might not fully understand. It's always good to go in for a review. How often? Every year, every couple of years?
I would say if you haven't touched base with it, I always tell my clients every 3 to 4 years, we definitely need to reevaluate your Medicare supplements.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt every year to do it either.
Now, I hate to even bring this up, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole right now, but I'll start with Jay. It appears we have a new administration coming in. And, one of the things that Joe Biden talked about, the Democrats have always talked about is, okay, we're going to do something with health care. So given what happened with Obamacare and the whole installment of that back in 2009, 2010, we had 8 years of Barack Obama, 4 years of Donald Trump. Now we're back to the Democrat side. So anything we need to be aware of there?
Well, we don't know where it's going to go yet, but one thing you have to remember, either way, you have to have somebody who helps sign you up and helps you understand.
Right.
Now, what the Democratic way is more of, we're going to cut commissions to the insurance agents,
Okay.
cut commissions to the companies.
So I know who Jay voted for.
Well, but actually, our business would flourish more
Yeah,
the other way under a Democratic because everyone's going to have to come in.
sure.
You may
Yeah.
get smaller commissions, but you're signing everybody up.
Yeah, it's a volume thing.
So it's I'm not saying which way is right or wrong, but
Just
there-
something to pay attention to. Like
it
I
is.
say,
It's something to pay attention to, and it'll be interesting how it plays out.
Yeah.
It will be interesting.
And like I say, I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole. Again, I didn't want to start that. Really, there's enough to
We have
talk
another
about
show
there.
for that?
Yeah, we have another show. We have, and I'm not going to be the host of that show either. There's a lot to talk about. Okay, so let's zero back in on. We're talking about health and wealth with Angela Cradaville and Jay Kenobi with Insurance 365. This is your retirement. Call them at 402-371-3136. They're online at insuranceagency365.com, and we're talking about going through as you get closer and closer to retirement to come and talk to Angela about your health and these 7 components. Walk through those 7 components one more time with me, Angela.
Yeah. So your health, first of all, we need to find out, are you applied for Medicare A and B? That's the number one step.
We started there. All
Yep.
right.
So once we get your red, white, and blue card, is what I call it, your Medicare card, we go down and figure out, do we want a Medicare supplement or do we want to get a Medicare Advantage? So we explain the difference between those.
What is the difference between those?
Well, Jeffrey, of course.
Well-
there's just lots of, your Medicare
I'm
Advantage.
learning too,
This will
I'm,
be an hour and a
Yeah.
half show.
I'm about 6 years away. Go ahead.
Your Medicare Advantage is more cost effective to you. The drug card, the dental, the vision, the hearing can be combined into one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
And so we want to make sure we know which way you want to go. There's going to be more co-pays involved with Medicare Advantage.
Okay.
But if we go the Medicare supplement route, then we go through the drug card. Then we find out, do we want dental? Do we want vision? And do we want hearing?
Okay. So 2 different ways to go, and probably different for everybody, but that's why you have to come in and educate yourself about this, because Angela educates herself about this all the time, doesn't she, Jay?
Absolutely.
I
In
mean-
terms like the donut hole.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that, Jeffrey?
No.
Oh, yeah, you need to know about that.
The donut
So I heard about
hole.
that this week. Oh, it's a big risk in the middle of your plan that Angela sits down and goes through with clients. I always wondered why she had a donut, like literally on her desk on a piece of paper, a donut,
Right.
sprinkled donut.
Okay.
And I, for years, kind of just walked away and thought, well, I don't get her deal.
Is it a real donut or just
No,
a picture of it?
it's a picture. It's
Okay.
a picture of a little frosty donut.
Yeah.
You know, looks like it come right from Delight Donuts, our friends over
No,
there.
no
And,
real donut would last on
but-
a desk around here.
But, but they actually have, that's where the consumer has a risk, and she explains that to people both ways.
Okay. The donut hole. What does it have to do with? Can you just
Your
give us a
drug-
little
Yeah,
tease?
it's on your prescription drug card.
Okay. All right. Wow. So, in other words, the middle of that donut hole might be a drain that you get sucked down into. Yeah. I get it. That's how it is. All right. This is Your Retirement with Insurance 365. Angela Cradaville. She handles your health. Jay Kenobi. He handles your wealth. So we'll take our first break here, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about the wealth side of this as well. Again, find them at Insurance Agency 365, and their phone number is 402-371-3136. Located at, Jay?
711 South 13th Street.
711 South 13th. Your Retirement with Insurance 365. We're back with more on News Talk WJAG. Back with Your Retirement with Insurance 365. It is our January edition. Folks, we get together every third Saturday of the month at 7:30 a.m. here on News Talk WJAG. On your left, it's Angela Cradaville. She handles your health. And Jay Kenobi, he handles your wealth. Go to insurance365.com to find out more. You can also give them a call at 402-371-3136. Okay, in the first segment, guys, we talked a little bit about health. So, Jay, let's talk about wealth now. You're getting close to retirement age. You're approaching 65, and maybe you've picked your date. What do we need to do to get organized?
Well, the main thing that I focus on, there's about 10 or 11 things, but the first thing I talk about front and center is your income plan. And most people just kind of stop and they say, what do you even mean? I'm like, what is your plan? Guaranteed, no variables involved. What's it look like at 72, 77, 85?
What
And they
type
say,
of-
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What type of income are you going to be generating when you move into retirement?
Yeah, I run proprietary software to get you your report to show you and your wife, Jeffrey, here's what it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. And then I also go a step further, and I have Jeffrey die.
Okay.
And I say, now, what does this look like?
What does this look like for my wife?
Your
or-
wife. And,
yeah.
and there's what I call an income cliff.
Okay.
Because now we talk about your Social Security, and Jeffrey died, so your wife gets the higher of the two.
Right.
And now we have an income cliff.
But she doesn't get both.
And when you have that income cliff and she's left, you know, I always have to point out to people, when Jeffrey dies, the taxes don't go in half. The car insurance doesn't go in half. The heating and cooling doesn't go in half.
Yeah.
The groceries might.
A little bit.
But let's be realistic. Do you have an income plan as you go into retirement? Most people say, well, I have an advisor, or I have a person, or I've got money in the market. That's great. But the only thing that really matters to you is you and your wife having income.
Right.
So do you understand the buckets that we need to create, and how many buckets do we have? Do we have Social Security? That's an obvious one. But can we create other buckets of guaranteed money? And most people say, I have no idea what you're talking about, Jay. Mm-hmm. That's what I go down with people first and foremost, because that's the elephant in the room. You're going to retire, and you just walked away from Nucor, and you were making whatever dollars.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I just lost my $80,000 salary. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now what? Where are we getting that back? Your wife is not going to choose to not do anything. You're not going to choose to not take that fishing trip to South Dakota every year. You're not going to choose to take grandkids and do this to Disney. You're still going to want to do those things and more. So what's your income plan?
Right. Yeah.
And that's just kind of words that resonate a little fear, a little paralysis, and we have to walk them through that.
And don't you think that stops people from retiring? Because this is, it's a real thing, because you can see it on paper, but it's also a psychological thing. Moving yourself from an income generator, I'm an income generator yet while I'm working, to not being an income generator and then having to rely on something else or your plan. And hopefully you planned well up to that point. But that's a psychological step that you have to take.
It's what I call a chapter of life. Really, people go through about 4 chapters, and that is one of the chapters that you just have to accept you're in. Mm-hmm. And I would like to get as many answers from people as I can. So I always point out to people, look, you've done this for 30, 40 years. You've worked maybe 50. Do you want to see all scenarios? I will show you my scenario. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But my scenario is going to walk you through guaranteeing income.
Is it better to do this maybe a few years before you retire?
It really don't matter. I mean, today I'm meeting with 2 people that are right at retirement. They're months away. Earlier in the week, I met with someone in their 80s. It sometimes you're meeting with it really depends. There's things now in the 401ks where people can continue to work and move portions of their 401ks to create income.
Right.
You know, a lot of it depends on where you're at in your life. If you're going through a divorce, if you're going through a business transition, if you're just 2 people living on Elm Street, you've been the same. It really, I have to sit down and talk to you and find out what are your plans the next 10 to 20 years, and let's guarantee things. Let's not leave the
willy-nilly.
The
We'll play it by ear and see.
I
what
get
happens.
I get a lot of people say, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to go another couple of years," and I say, "Why?" Well, just because. Have you looked at the numbers? Do you need to? Well, I don't know. How can you even do that for me, Jay? Yes.
Yeah.
I can show you if you're 62 and you say, I'm going to go another 5 years because I have to. Do you have to?
Yeah.
I meing, honestly, is that just your heart talking?
Isn't that fun, though, when you sit somebody down like that?
I love that part.
Ding, and then that number comes up, and they go, whoa.
Yeah. And it usually, it's a process.
We're going to Florida, honey.
Yeah. I tell people I'm going to sit down with you for 10, 15 minutes the first visit. The second visit, I'm going to come back with multiple scenarios.
A lot of meat on the bone.
And we're going to sit down for a half hour to an hour, and we're going to, and you that second meeting, you're going to come back in and say, here's we talked about it. The spouse and I talked about it, and this is the direction we would like to go. I have clients say we'd like to move to Omaha. Grandkids live in Omaha.
Sure.
I have spouses say, you know what, or people come in and say, you know, I recently am divorced and I'm going to move to Texas. And, you know, you have to work through those things with people. But the main thing is just sit down and talk to somebody. And I don't have the answers for everybody, of course. That's not what I'm here for. But a lot of times just to talk it out and get you going a direction. And the answer for your family becomes apparent as you talk through it.
Well, the only way you can make good decisions is with good information, and people who make decisions without having good information usually make bad decisions, and that sounds really simplified, but it's true. A lot of people do. They make decisions on assumptions, and anybody who's ever done that knows how badly you can get burned down the road.
And a lot of people, Jeffrey, will say, well, I've had it here for 30 years, so I'm just going to leave it with them.
Yeah.
That's not the.
Yeah.
You know, just because you've had it for 30 years doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's built some wealth, yes, but are there better options out there? Or is there a local provider? I get this a lot where they say, well, I'm just told to call the government agency
1-800
and just sign up and be done. And I'm like, so you never want to see this again? You're 66 and you never want to review this? You never want to look at your returns? You never want to look at the payment options? You never want a local provider to give you the insight as to what's in
right.
No, well, okay, I would like you to do that. Well, I can't do that unless I'm working with you.
Right.
And so sometimes it's just honestly laziness. I'll just leave it where it's at.
Let me just say that 66 looks younger every year for me, and but it is young. I mean, the average American nowadays at 66, I mean, you probably have maybe a good 15, 20 years left in you.
Jeffrey, what's amazing is the average mortality is 78 for men, okay?
Yes.
But when you reach 65, so if you've reached 65, your mortality becomes 82.
Wow.
So it becomes more and more personal to me that you have a higher chance, you and your spouse, of running out of money. You're living longer. So people have to understand, if I have people all the time come in, oh, my mom lived forever and she smoked cigarettes and my dad drank beer and okay, and they live for and so you have good genes. So think of what you're saying. You're telling me that genetically you have good genes.
Yeah.
What's your money going to look like at 90? Well, I'll probably run out. That's why we're talking.
That's going to be a problem.
That's why we're talking.
Nobody wants to have to burden their kids or anybody else with
Just run out of money.
Or just run out of money. That is so true. But you have to look at that, and there are a lot of things to consider. And of course, it's always going to depend on what your buckets are and what you've created. And you also brought up the thing about we're right here in the middle of winter. Who wouldn't like to be in Arizona playing golf right now, or Florida? And you can make that happen, and maybe you can make that happen a little earlier.
Yep.
So you mentioned before we went on the air here the 7 comprehensive points about getting organized with your wealth, or a certain number of points. So go through a few of the things that people should just be thinking about. Yep. And then they call Insurance 365.
Yeah. What I help people with, I call it the organization of your life. It's kind of the organization of your final chapter. We want to talk about your will. Jeffrey, you'd be amazed how many people don't have a will.
Or if they do, they don't update it.
Or they say, well, my kid was in junior high when I did that one.
Yeah.
Well, your son is now 35 and has his own company, but that was nice when he was little Johnny in junior high.
Yeah.
Healthcare power of attorney, brutal one.
Ooh.
Understanding. I went through 2 of these in the last 12 months. You have to have it where the kids understand dad signed off or mom signed off. I don't need any hard feelings amongst the kids. Dad's in a coma. He's not coming back, but don't be mad at mom for pulling the plug.
Right.
Healthcare power. Do I do these things? I'm not an attorney, but I bring them to your attention so that you start. And this is part of our whole plan in our office. We want these things in place. Long-term care. Let's have the discussion. Do you need to buy it? No. But let's have the discussion.
Right.
Life insurance. Oh my, for every life policy that comes in my office, I haven't had an agent for 20 years. I have paid these many premiums. I'm getting lapse notices. I don't understand what cash value is. I don't understand why I'm getting quarterly bills. Why did my husband's policy lapse? Term policies that ran out. That's just so common. They get that notice in their 70s and they say, oh, I guess my policy's done. Am I done? Can I ever get life insurance again?
Yeah.
Beneficiaries on life insurance and annuities. Beneficiaries. If you were remarried, you might want to reconsider who your beneficiary is.
Right.
Your ex would love it if you left it.
The ex-wife is going to get my money, honey.
and then stepkids and kids and charities. You have to work with charities. I mean, I've had 2 this year, leaving it to religious people. Religious organizations. It's awesome.
Yeah.
They wanted to leave 20% of their wealth to religious organizations. CDs, bank accounts, are they, has this been discussed? Is it in writing? Pension funds, your Social Security, understanding, do I take it at 65 or 70? All of these things, I just say, look, I'm going to bring them all up. You can go to whoever you want to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I help you. Sometimes it's your brother that happens to be this. Okay, let's just make sure that your brother's up to date then.
Yeah.
I've had people literally that I know their songs for their funeral. I mean, I have customers. I mean, we go that in depth sometimes, right? Because people are like, Jay, I need to know I'm getting buried here, and my kids, who do they come see? Oh, I have customers will say my kids go see Jay.
Yeah.
And everything is in these books.
Right.
Everything is laid out for you. And obviously these products aren't all with me, but they're updated. We know who the life insurance company is. Jay may not be the agent, but we know there's a face amount of $15,000, and we know who the beneficiaries are.
Think about the burden that you lift from your family as well. So anyway, short of time, you want to wrap up here real quick about
that's the wealth segment of what we work with. All those things, all the way from income to all those products, and we just try to help you communicate and be clear with you and your spouse where you want to go.
And it can all start with a phone call. If you want to do a little research, you can do that as well at Insurance Agency 365, or give Insurance 365 a phone call, 402-371-3136. Talk to Angela Cradaville about your health. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And then talk to Jay about your wealth, and a lot of decisions to be made, but get started today. That is your retirement for January. We'll talk to you again next month, February, on the 3rd Saturday of the month here on News Talk WJG. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.